Hi, welcome everyone to today's reading with the messenger cards. I'm Sandra Coons, and in case you don't know me, I am the actual creator of the messenger cards. They're an oracle deck of animal spirit cards. I'm an intuitive artist. I did all of the artwork for the cards, as well as I wrote the messages. So it's my pleasure to be here to do these live readings with you. And today, our question for the oracle cards is, let me just check here. How do I heal this pattern in my relationships? So we're here to do a collective reading on that, and as well then you can do your own reading for your own journey on that. So that being said, I just want to welcome everybody again to another live reading. So hopefully I'll be doing these every week. I'm going to try really hard to do that. And so I just want to start out, first of all, with just getting ourselves grounded. So whenever I do a reading, I always start with some breathing practices just to get us centered back into our heart space, out of our head a little bit more. And with the breathing, it does actually calm down our nervous system, and it helps us to feel more calm, more safe, more here. So if you'll just join me in taking some breaths. So you can even put one or both of your hands on your heart and just start to breathe, and start to intentionally breathe. Start to slow down your mind and start to breathe in and out of your nose. You want these breaths to be as continual as possible and as intentional as possible. So as we start to breathe with intention, we can start to actually follow where the breath comes into our body, where it goes. And then as it comes into our body, it brings awareness into our physical body and actually how we're feeling. And if we have any discomfort in our body, whether it be physical, whether it be emotional, it actually brings that awareness to ourselves and to our body. And often actually, we don't like to bring our attention into our body because we do have a lot of discomfort in our body. A lot of it is actually physical and emotional. And I think most of us have learned to not check into our body, not actually feel. And we've learned to suppress what we're feeling and not to pay attention to what we're feeling, and to allow the energy of those emotions to move, which is a lot of why we have continual patterns. And so bringing that back to our question of how do I heal this pattern in my relationships, where do these patterns come from, right? These patterns come from core beliefs that we may not even be aware of. But deeper than that, if we go deeper than that, I believe these patterns come from vibrations that we're holding within us. And these vibrations are almost stuck. They're stuck within us because we don't allow ourselves to feel, to connect with them and to feel. And these emotions show up to us as parts of us that are fractured from trauma, that sort of thing. And they can run the show. They can create these patterns until we actually connect with them and we integrate them. They do run the show, and they actually engage our mind as well in really these negative thought patterns. So if you ever find yourself in a really negative thought pattern, is a very good indication that there's something going on in your body emotionally that needs to be attended to listen to, and to connected to, and to be felt and integrated. So I'm going to get started on this reading. And once again, this is, as we all know, we're in a time of incredible transition, and especially with this pandemic, a lot of us our lives have really shifted. Our lives have almost come to a complete stop in some ways. And I don't think that's any different for relationships. And I think collectively we need to shift how we see relationships, how we are relationships. And of course, that all starts with us individually. But there are definitely collective energies and collective beliefs about relationships that are causing patterns for each of us in a relationship. So whether we're single or we're in a relationship that could use some improvement, or we're not even sure if the relationship we're in is the right one for us. Usually, though, in any of those situations, we're lacking clarity for ourselves, and we're lacking clarity we're basically not aligned with ourselves in how we're not aligned with how our higher selves see relationships, and how we're not in alignment with how we actually can be in our relationships. So let's get started, and we'll pull some cards for this. So I'm just going to bring myself back into my heart center. So before I pull cards, I bring myself to a place of feeling calm. And I'm really focusing on the question. And so the question being, how do I heal this pattern in my relationship? And I'm asking this question for the collective. And while I'm really centering myself and focusing on that question, I'm scanning my body. And as I ask that question, it's like, am I feeling anything in my body? And just having awareness of what that might be bringing up emotionally or mentally for me, any thoughts that might bring up. But this is from a place of being heart-centered and having awareness of my thoughts and my emotions. So I'm going to just shuffle my cards here, and I'm going to shuffle them until they feel shuffled. So if you're doing a reading now or in the future for yourself or for someone else, I'm just going to try to give you some steps you can take to do this for yourself, to have a reading that will actually be helpful for you. Okay, so I'm just shuffling these until, oh, you know what? That one really wants to come out. So I'm gonna pull it out. I'm just laying it down on my table in front of me, and that's gonna be the first card in the spread. It's gonna go in the center. I'm gonna be pulling 3 cards in total. The second and the third cards will go on either side of the center card, and that one really was popping out there. So I'm gonna pull that one out as the second card. Pulling out the third. Oh, there we go. That was quick. There's a third one for me. Okay, so the cards I picked for this question: how do I heal this pattern in my relationships? Wow. Okay, so the card that I chose, and this might be backwards. I really apologize if the text is backwards. It's the Arctic Wolf, number 24, and it's called The Journey. So I'm just going to show you, first of all, the cards that I picked. The second card that I picked is Living Your Potential, which is the Raven. It's number 23 in the deck. Living Your Potential is the second card, and the third card is, oh my goodness, you can't, like me and my girlfriend say, you can't make this SHIT, up. It's called Evolution. And it's number 5 in the deck. It is, just to say a quick word about it, this card is about the healing of the divine masculine and feminine. So that's incredible. So this card, the center card, is what is shifting for us. It is taking us in the direction of healing our relationships. It's taking us in the direction of having more fulfilling relationships and actually fulfilling, let's say, our potential for what relationships can be. And then these 2 other cards that go on either side of the center card are, they add more meaning, more definition, and they refine the meaning and the frequency of the center card. So depending on what these 2 cards are, it can really shift the frequency and the meaning of this middle card. So I'm just gonna just tune in. I just want to tune in for a second here, and I want you all to join me on tuning into this card and the journey. I'm just going to tell you what it's about, and then as I do that, just feel into your body for what that brings up, whether it's positive, whether it's negative, and especially what the feelings that are negative that come up is your resistance, and the parts of you that are fractured and unwilling to go on that journey, and they need to just be integrated and loved, brought in, and then brought along on this journey, right? So the journey, this is really beautiful. You know what? I'm actually gonna read the message from the book. I still do that sometimes. These were channeled messages. When I created this deck, I channeled these messages. Okay, so number 24, the journey, the Arctic wolf. This gentle Arctic wolf with a heart of fire is here to guide you on your biggest adventure. What is your deepest desire? This creature with snow white pure intentions has both the dog and the wolf aspects to aid you and balance you as you go. The gentleness and loyalty of dog and the strong leadership of wolf makes her a powerful ally, willing to go to new places and to help you follow your deepest desires with passion. We go on many adventures throughout our lives, but sometimes we are being called to something that we think is bigger than ourselves. Quite often, this is our most intense journey that changes us forever, and we need only to listen and follow the guidance of spirit to get started and find our way with love. The biggest journey we embark on is the journey of our heart. From there, we live our earthly adventure with passion as beacons of light and inspiration. When we courageously decide to go deep into our heart to experience our truth, we find that spirit is everywhere and everything. Our work, our relationships, and also in every aspect of ourselves. There is no separation. Okay, so this is, to me, this card is the journey to our deepest soul desire for, and because we're talking about relationships, this will be our deepest soul desire for relationships. So often we confuse what our deepest path is that we are, here to live with our ego and what we think we want. And it is what we think we want in our head that comes from those unhealed parts of ourselves. And so if we just feel into, if you think of this question, so, okay, if you think of this question, what is my deepest journey? What is my What am I here to actually experience in relationships? And often what that's going to be is, what am I most afraid of in experiencing in relationships? And that has nothing to do with what am I not interested in relationships. It's like, what am I really scared of? What is it? What part of me has not been willing to show up? And what am I really afraid to experience in relationships? So for some of us, I'm just taking a deep breath here. For some of us, that might actually be true connection and intimacy, and any of these things that you're truly afraid to experience will require vulnerability. It will require that you allow yourself to show up, not have the answers, and say, okay, I'm willing to experience this. And if you're with someone, you can say, I'm really afraid, but this is something that my soul needs to experience. So I want to try this. And speaking from my own experiences, for me, a lot of that is actually intimacy and deeply trusting the masculine. So as a collective as well, trusting the masculine, trusting, hi, Wen Scott, trusting that, and trusting and beholding the divine masculine. So not only outside of us, but more importantly, within us. So what is that journey that we need to go on in relationships? That when we breathe, we bring ourselves into our heart center. And this might be something that unfolds for you over the next while. You might not know right now, but it's something, if it's like when you experience, you will actually feel like you are, in a really good way, you're alive. You're actually in a relationship, you're connecting. And it's something that you probably have not experienced for a very long time, if ever, in your relationship. So, and a really great clue to that is, what am I not experiencing right now? Or what am I manifesting right now in my relationships that is not working? And so this is really deep work. So I'm going to go into these other two cards to talk about how we can support ourselves going on this deep heart journey of going into this place of vulnerability and what really scares us, right? So we have living your potential and evolution. So living your potential is this incredibly powerful looking raven. And to me, it's like a shadow, and it is embracing. I see intuitively right now, it is embracing your shadow aspect, embracing that part of you that is terrified to be vulnerable, terrified to show a part of yourself that actually is the true, it's the true gift. So a part of this card is, every day, are you honoring who you are, honoring your gifts, And are you bringing them out into the world? And doing that does require being vulnerably brave. So I see bravery and vulnerability as they're very connected. You can't be vulnerable unless you're actually brave. You can't be courageous unless you have they work together, right? So you're courageous when you're vulnerable. You're allowing those walls to come down, and that's how you're actually healing your shadows, is by loving those parts of yourself that are afraid to be in a relationship and be in relationships the way that you actually want to be in relationships. And that can look like so many things, but for each of us, that's going to be our own individual journey. And so every day it's like, am I showing up as who I am with my gifts and being vulnerable and taking risks and speaking my heart and speaking from my truth? And it's like, what would be the hardest thing for me to do and to say, coming from vulnerability and coming from love? What is my truth that I really need to speak? And that can be a real test for relationships. And when you do that, and let's say you're in a relationship, or you want to get into a relationship, and there's something you need, that you're afraid to show. You've always been afraid to show this aspect of yourself in relationships. Then can you show up and be that gift? And when you do that, not expecting that your partner or this person right away will be able to receive it, because sometimes they need time to process as well. So the exercise is in you showing up in your beautiful, glorious power yourself, in your vulnerability, and saying, you know what, this is who I am. And what a gift that is, right? And so that process, when you start actually showing up, that process can take a little while. If you're in a relationship, you need to give your partner time to process that. You don't expect them to just right away, be like, oh my God, that's amazing. They might be a little defensive at first, but just stay in your vulnerability, and ask yourself the question, like, what is it that my soul really desires in a relationship? What is it my soul needs to experience? Who am I really in relationships? Who am I in my heart, right? This card is amazing. Like I said before, this is the healing of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And so this card is here to support our journey, right? It is supporting our journey in that the masculine and feminine are coming back home to what they truly are in their energies. So the way that I see the masculine and feminine energies is they are our natural energy system of giving and receiving, of give and take, of complete connected oneness being the feminine, and our sovereign individuality with boundaries, courage, and honoring ourselves and our gifts is our divine masculine. So within each of us, we need to bring our own masculine and feminine energies into balance. A great deal of that right now is supporting, and really calling in the divine masculine, because it is needed to work with the divine feminine. And within each of us individually, they work together to help us to be the best that we can be, to actually be a divine being with our incredible gifts here on this physical earth. So our divine masculine within us supports our divine feminine. It honors our gifts. It supports us. It allows us to feel safe in this world as a creative being. Gives us confidence in our gifts and allows us to take those steps to move forward. And so how does this reflect in our relationships? Well, it actually, it's very important. So I'll give you an example. 3 years ago, I became aware, it was mostly through a meditation, that I did not have any clue of what the divine masculine was, how it felt, but I knew that if I didn't feel it within myself, I wouldn't be able to manifest it outside of myself in a relationship. I wouldn't be able to have a relationship with a man who embodied the divine masculine energy. And so I knew I needed to call that into myself. And so that's what I did. I connected with my own divine masculine energy. And I mentioned this last week in my video. I do have a guided meditation to connect to your own divine masculine energy. It has, it's in my YouTube channel. It's Connect to Your Divine Masculine Energy. And so by connecting to our own divine masculine energy, then you can start working with it then. Keep calling it in every day and feeling it. And feeling yourself, feeling supported and safe, and being able to support yourself in your creative gifts and bringing them out. So then in balancing your own masculine and feminine energies, and at least calling in more of the divine masculine and allowing that to balance with your feminine energy, is going to bring your current relationship more into balance. Or else, if it's not the right relationship for you, you will see, give it some time, but you will see, because you will have more clarity, because your energy system is more in balance. You will see that this relationship has come to an end, right? Also, if you want to attract a relationship, you want it to, of course you want a fulfilling relationship with a partner that is a great partner for you, and where you have intimacy, and where it's just it's a good relationship. No relationship is going to be perfect, but it's a relationship where you can communicate, you can work through things, and you have each other's hearts. You have each other's hearts, and you have, what each other's needs are, and you take care of each other, right? So you want to call in a partner who's also balanced, who has their divine masculine and feminine in balance, and they are a creative person, and they support themselves in being creative and in being authentic, and they can support you in your authenticity and in your creativity. And so we need to have our energy systems in balance before we can actually attract that from somebody else, right? And when we have our energy systems more and more and more in balance, it affects all aspects of our life. And it actually is, to me, it's what we need to evolve and ascend into the higher dimensions. We have to be functioning, our energy system has to be functioning and flowing with the divine masculine and feminine, the yin and the yang, however you want to say that, whatever you call it. It's but it's within each of us. So that is also definitely helping us on our journey of being ourselves in relationships. So who is it that we really are in relationships? What is it that we really our soul wants to experience in relationships? Not what our fractured parts of us want to experience in relationships. And so this might be, you know, again, when you think about going on this journey of who you really are and what it is you're here to heal in your relationships, what it is you're here to really experience. Take a deep breath again and breathe. Start breathing intentionally and scan your body for how that makes you feel. And do you have an emotion? Do you have a reaction to that? Is there a place in your body, physical or emotional, where you're feeling a lot of discomfort? And what you do is breathe and allow that discomfort to be there. So instead of trying to change it and use your mind to manipulate it and do all kinds of mental gymnastics to try and change that emotion or that feeling, it's like, we're going to be there with it. We're going to give it space. We're going to allow it to be there. I'm going to say, I love you, and I understand why you feel this way. I understand why you're afraid. I understand why you're angry. And allow that energy to come up, allow those emotions to come up. And eventually, the more you do this, the more those energies will come to completion, and you will start to have more clarity about who you really are, what it is you want to experience in relationships, and what your soul is here to do in relationships and in every aspect of your life. But as long as you are holding these emotional charges within you, there's parts of you that are not on board with this. Those parts of you are not on board with going on this journey. And they are the parts of you that need your attention, but have been keeping you from having those deep and meaningful relationships. So I see there's a message here. Wolf is my totem. Nice. White wolf is my spirit guide. Nice. Thank you. Thank you, Wen. I think that is it for today for this reading. So again, you can do this reading for yourself. These cards definitely hit on a collective issue, though, for ourselves. If you'd like a one-on-one reading with me, just go to my website, strokeofsoul.com. You can go to my shop, and you'll find my readings there as well. You can purchase the messenger cards from my website. So that is, again, strokeofsoul.com. And until next time, blessings to you, and be well. I love you.